Welcome to the law enforcement workshop.
I thought we already started. What are you talking about?
We did already start, but webinar 0.
0.
We had 0 webinars.
Oh, sure.
So Kevin he doesn't want to admit to it, but he is my best friend. I guess I'm his third in line.
Yeah,
but
you can say it that way. Like you're right. You can decide your own best friend. It's not for me to decide for you.
I get to decide that.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be great to have the first law enforcement workshop podcast with Kevin. Kevin, tell us a little about yourself.
I am one of Israel's friends. He is one of my friends. He's one of my better friends. Would be the best friend, but there was a little bit of hiccup there somewhere.
We'll cover that in another podcast.
Yeah. We've already established that'll be at a later time. But I've been in law enforcement coming up on 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Started off DNR for a little bit, park ranger, which we have in common, right? Similar. We have like the same backstory. Working for the DNR.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
We're meant to be.
Yep. Sure. We'll go with that. Worked for the DNR for a little bit, and then worked for a small little village, and then ended up in Sheboygan, where Israel was already working. Meant to be.
Speaking of the small village, there was a officer that worked in the small village called Kohler, and his name was Kevin Coast, and Kevin's last name is Post, and they look quite alike, which is very bizarre and weird. I don't know if he still works there or not, but
no, he's not there. I'm pretty sure he might work for the county or maybe like Plymouth. He's still somewhere over there.
It's one of those brothers like you knew didn't exist, but really exists out there.
You know what's really fun is when you get subpoenaed for his court. That has happened once. Or no, he got subpoenaed for mine. That's what it was. Then all of a sudden they're like, hey, so you were supposed to be at court, or I don't think it was quite that serious. But
welcome to government work.
Yes.
I remember the first time I laid eyes on you, I was in roll call, and you had this little banker's box, and you had all your duty gear in there by the sergeant, and there was another officer, Woody, walking behind you. And I thought to myself, what a bunch of weirdos walking into this PD, and look what we are now.
Yeah. Well,
still weirdos.
No, I'm not weird. You might be weird.
I'm pretty much up there, but you're weird with me, so.
Weird around you. Weird by affiliation. Yes. I'm willing to admit that.
Well, what are you looking forward to in this podcast, Kevin? What are you honestly looking forward to in this podcast?
I'm here running for the Izzy ride. That's what I'm here for.
You've been on plenty of Izzy rides. I wouldn't be on that truck on the Izzy ride if I was you.
Well, I'm hoping that I don't have any life or death experiences here, because typically, as of late, when I've been helping you with one of your projects, it's been a life or death situation.
Not life and death mentally. He helped me move, and I felt bad because I think we probably all should have died that day.
Oh, yeah, right over there.
Object coming down the stairs.
And up the stairs.
And up the stairs.
The stairs.
Yeah. As you guys are yelling and laughing
no.
at the same time.
You were screaming, thinking that we were about to die, and the two of us are just underneath it, like wondering what's going on because we think you're dying. But apparently you're trying to Superman this thing to not kill us when we were perfectly fine. Not in harm's way at all.
And this is why you invite your friend onto a podcast. There's so many things. I think most people that know us think we just banter back and forth like a married couple.
We do. That's factual. 100%.
And I love it.
Yes. But to be fair, I do that with most people that I'm friends with. So
I'm not special.
You know what? For you, I will say that you are special. It's, it's just not the same with anyone else.
Nice. I love it.
It is the same.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of background. I worked for the DNR at the beginning. I dreamed of becoming a cop, and I worked for almost 20 years. Went from a small town on the west side of Green Bay, worked there for probably 8 years, and then went to Sheboygan and met Kevin there. Worked for a small village just as part-time money too. A lot of cops take up side jobs or whatnot, but worked there for a little bit and Oddly enough, that village I worked at is just north of where I live at now, and had a crotch rocket. I thought that was cool. Pulling over cars on
Had a motorcycle,
yeah,
or the department had a motorcycle.
motorcycle. Yeah, but it was a crotch rocket motorcycle.
Yeah, but it was like at work.
Yeah, I wouldn't drive a
Patrol
motorcycle. I almost drove a moped through the front of a garage door. I couldn't drive.
So, again, did you drive it as part of
Nope,
work?
absolutely not.
Okay, there
I
we
just
go.
sat on and took a picture.
That's where I was confused. I feel like this would have came up in conversation before if you were, a motorcycle cop on a crotch rocket.
I'm not that cool.
Most people aren't. To be fair, I wouldn't want to do that either. That sounds terribly unsafe.
At one point, Sheboygan almost gave up their motorcycle unit, but then I saw it out the other day.
I imagine it's probably still in the same status as it was when we were there, used for like
I thought it was a great
special
tool.
events.
In the middle of the night, they'd come down the alley. And I'm like, why is there a motorcycle at 2:00 coming down the alley? And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, that's who it is. Yeah, so it was a great asset, I thought. Yeah, I don't know. We'll share maybe some stories during this episode of me and Kevin's Beat Cop together TikTok. If you haven't seen it, Sheboygan Beat Cops was a popular TikTok for a little while. I think I was proud of that. We had some good TikToks. It's hard to get people involved in that. So
we were on the news for it. I mean,
Chicago PD was wanting to know how we did TikToks and learn. So it was a great learning environment. That Beat Cop was probably my favorite position out of all my career, I think. Yeah. So a little bit of background of the law enforcement workshop. 20 years. Kevin's seen me at my best, and he's also probably seen me at my worst. After 20 years, I had some health issues and just decided to get into law enforcement, not knowing the mental health aspect after leaving law enforcement, and some stories on different episodes I'll kind of share maybe where it started from or stemmed from to come through. So I wanted to share life experiences with people that I've worked with that helped me in my career, and great advice, whether it be financial advice. I got lucky when I was a newer cop, and I got really good financial advice from like all the grumpy old timers. But looking back, I think they absolutely gave the best advice through the whole career that I have. I always look back at a lot of those guys and was lucky enough, especially financially, getting right off the bat stable enough. And I think a lot of newer cops don't get that. So hopefully there's good advice in that aspect. Hopefully there's good advice about we're going to cover some leadership and character stuff. I think, in my personal viewpoint, I think leadership in law enforcement is lacking severely than what it used to be back in the day. And I think people are willing to give up their moral and ethics for a promotion. So I mean, really taking on character and keeping character alive and who you are, I think, is a big trait of being a leader. So we're going to cover some of that. I also have some speaking arrangements coming up, one in Chicago in August and some other potential ones down the road. So I'm hoping that maybe some life experiences will teach others not to go down a certain path, because I've made lots of mistakes. Kevin will probably tell you made lots of mistakes in law enforcement. If you don't make mistakes, you aren't in law enforcement. It's just that sometimes when you make a mistake, I think you don't learn from it or try to get help from the mistake you're making, especially mentally. But that's the purpose of the law enforcement workshop, and try to help out some agencies or maybe new leaders coming on departments, or even just new cops wanting to get it to a department and not knowing what to do on some of these things. So even entrepreneurship, we'll talk about some of that. We have a different person coming on a podcast, Brian Bastel, maybe one day, talk about entrepreneurship. Because as a side note, I did start a business as well through law enforcement, which is called Crafty American, and Kevin's helped me out with that too. And we'll talk about entrepreneurship, which is really important, I think, in anybody's lifespan of creating an LLC and trying to be financially stable aside from your real-time job, whether it be major work or whether it be minor work. I think it's really important stuff. Kevin, what's your favoriteest memory that we had as a cop together? Not outside of work, but as a cop together.
So at work, gosh,
ours are going to be so different.
I can guarantee that they're going to be different.
Because some of your worst days are my best days.
That's because you enjoy me being angry and frustrated. Probably the coolest thing that we were able to do is, and you sucked at it, but a broad eating contest.
Oh yeah, that was
uniform for Sheboygan Brat Days. We were able to do a broad eating contest. It was absolutely a terrible day. It was
hot.
Is that July or August? August.
August.
Probably.
It was hot.
August. I think it was in the hundreds. If not, it was upper 90s. Super humid. So heat index like in the hundreds. In full gear, vest, everything else. We Facebook live streamed it, TikToked it.
The Johnsonville brat guy came behind us, the big bubbly thing going.
Yes.
A great picture of us cheersing the brat, touching brats, and how many brats you eat that day?
I think it was 13. You were single digits. Where were you at? 6?
Probably 6.
6?
I don't know. I could eat, I don't know how many hot dogs.
Yeah.
I get brats are different, but your jaw hurts. It isn't something you can just guzzle down like the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. It's like it's just hard to explain. Eat a whole bunch of brats and your jaw will just be on fire. It's like working out your jaw. I don't know how you eat 13.
Well, got to have some place to put them. So
that was a good time.
That was a decent time.
There's a lot of people in the community, I think, that really enjoyed that. There was a lot of people before that and after that were like, oh, that was awesome.
Wow,
guys.
we talked that one guy into joining out of nowhere too. We were just sitting there beforehand and explaining why we were there, and he's like, I can do that. And he went and paid his fee to enter and was right next to us.
Someone's like, you should do it. And he's like, I don't know. We're like, we'll do it with you, not knowing that we're part of the contest.
Yes.
I think Brat Days, if people don't know, Sheboygan is the brat capital of the world, and they had a festival called Brat Days that was really big. I think at one point they had like AC/DC or someone there back in the day, and then the numbers dwindled like most of the festivals, and they're bringing it back again this year. They kind of took a break for 2 years, I think, and then they're bringing it back again this year. So you could go to Sheboygan, and there probably still is a brat eating contest.
Maybe. I'm sure you can find one somewhere.
Okay, what's the worst call?
With you?
With me. I probably already know your worst call of your whole career. We can discuss that later, but with me, what's the worst call? It doesn't even have to be a call. It could just be you storming out of the office.
I don't know that so my memory doesn't necessarily work like that. I don't have the cool recall that most people have where they're like, oh yeah, this is this call. My brain typically doesn't work like that. So it needs to be triggered by something. So, honestly, no idea what our worst call is.
And just looking at me doesn't trigger you?
No.
That's nice of you.
I can remember like the good times, broadying contest, the walks that you would want to do, late at night, trying to hold my hand with me, trying to swat you away, where then all of a sudden the boat names, you're just like, oh, it's a serendipitous day, and watch out for that. I don't know. I can't even tell you what you do.
Serendipitous or something like that.
Yes.
Eating ice cream. There's pictures of Cheers. Oh,
I do remember you bought us ice cream on your birthday. So remember that.
You want to know a funny story? People that probably know this, and if people from Sheboygan are watching this, Craft American, my side business, donates money or donates products, right? So one year, I'm pretty sure you were there at the time. I went to Quick Trip one day. I'm like, I got some money I got to donate for the year. And I spent $650 for gift cards. I told the Quick Trip employees, I said, just put them in $20 gift cards. Don't tell them who it's from. I really didn't care. But I found this the funniest memory of my career. And I said, just give it to people that are in need, coming to the gas stations like around Christmas or something like that. Like, wow, that's awesome. I went to roll call and I sat in roll call, and 3 cops came into roll call. Like, oh man, I went to Quick Trip, and they give me a $20 gift card. They're just like, hey, here's $20 gift card. And I'm like, why? They're like, oh, just here's $20 a gift card. It didn't say anything. And to this day, they probably still don't know, but I was just chuckling the whole time in roll call. Yeah, that was great.
Interesting. I wish I would have went to Quick Trip.
There's lots of Quick Trips all around. If you're not from Wisconsin, there's Quick Trips everywhere. Sheboygan has 3, 4 maybe.
Oh God, no, it's more than that.
I don't know,
like 6.
A shout out to Quick Trip here. Their jalapeno popper burger, if they need to bring that back,
because I think it's back right now.
Where?
Well, they brought the pepper jack cheese back.
No, that's not the same. Jalapeno popper burger. If somebody from Quick Trip, jalapeno popper burger, you got to bring that back. I don't know. I was told people can't handle jalapenos. Whatever. Greatest burger ever.
Well, you just don't need to get it then. I think that's what people are missing.
It was sold out every time.
If you don't want a jalapeno on your burger, then just don't get that one.
Okay, what's the best call you've ever had without me?
I just explained. I don't remember that. What do you mean
I mean,
best call?
there has to be a great call that you recall, like remember being like, this was actually a really fun call, or it was just satisfying, or it was like, I don't know, you're like saving the day for someone. Like you jump through. I can only imagine Kevin breaking through a door.
So
Most
satisfying call.
You carry a lady out of the house,
Sure.
out of the house fire, and you hold her up, and people are clapping. I just see that happen.
Well, first off, anytime that I can put out a fire before the fire department gets there, it's a great feeling. There's a couple of those. There was somebody had a fire in their oven at a large apartment complex in Sheboygan. Ran in there and grabbed the fire extinguisher off the wall and put that out before the fire department could get in there, and telling them like, hey guys, don't worry, we got this.
And they probably were upset.
Probably, which made it so much better.
To my firefighter viewers from Crafty American, don't listen to that at all.
There's another one. We had a guy who kept on starting like random bits of wood on fire throughout the city. And
the dumpsters.
Yeah, one night I showed up to one of those first, and he had like a couple blocks of wood like outside the dumpster that was on fire, and just put that out. And fire department shows up 30 seconds later. I mean, to be fair, it is a kind of a waste of a fire extinguisher because they're just going to come up and use water, which they can just refill, versus the chemical fire extinguisher that I used. But
didn't you have one of the fire extinguishers explode in the trunk, and you came in, you're covered in white, and you're all, somebody was. Were you part of the serial toilet clogger that made national news in Sheboygan?
First off, that was the street crimes unit. So never part of that. But yeah, no.
See, your memory gets triggered. Just got to ask a question.
Yeah. So the most rewarding was probably, do you remember the watermelon house?
The watermelon.
The guy
painted water. Oh,
the guy spray painted his house because he was getting in trouble because his siding wasn't painted and his roof needed to be replaced, and he painted the roof.
I remember that house had like no studs, and mom was living below sun. Sun weighed like 400 pounds and had no load bearing beams. And when you went upstairs, the floor would like sink, and it had all the cats. Like there was like 50 cats. And when he got arrested, he was more worried about the cats and getting like a litter box clean. But there was stuff all over the floor from the cats. It's like, it doesn't really matter right now. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably my most satisfying, especially in the beat cop position, because the house had been a problem. Like it was a fenced in. The entire backyard and side yard was just filled with junk. Like if you went on to Google Earth and looked at it, you couldn't even see grass.
Right. We couldn't even open the back gate area.
Yeah. And so it had clearly been a problem. Neighbors have been complaining about it. I think like the prior two, or maybe just the prior one, BCOP had tried to resolve things, couldn't get any headway. And then I came in and, really worked with our building inspection, which was really nice that we did with Sheboygan.
It was great back then.
Built those relationships. And so we started working on that angle, got a little bit of progress, got him to start doing a little bit. But the change really happened when like they knew that the inside was probably really bad, building inspection, but they didn't necessarily have a way in. And then I found out that we were serving a warrant there. And I just called him up. I'm like, hey, we're going in. We have a warrant. Do you want to come in with us? And so we went in, served the warrant, and through the after portion of it, when we're still inside trying to get stuff, the building inspection came in and just saw how bad it was and was able to condemn it right away. So not only is it nice to start making progress, I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy went to prison, and some other charges and investigations happened after that. So I imagine he's in prison. He was the owner of the house, so it's not like anyone was going to be living in there after. But I think it was mom, like she couldn't be staying there anymore, like for her own health. So working with her and trying to get her resources. She had other family that was out of state, working with her for the night to stay at one of the neighbors' houses and kind of follow up with her to get her stuff out and doing that. But really the team effort to make that happen when, it had been like that for years and years, and, kind of trying to solve some of the blight that was going on there. And the same thing, a block away, we had a drug house that I convinced the person who was basically squatting there, because the owner had like dementia or something, and was living out of state at a dementia care facility. and they had no idea who was there. So nobody to hold accountable and trying to get this property taken care of. We had numerous overdoses there. And one day just walking up and being like, hey, so building inspection was here a couple of months ago and they want to do like a walkthrough again, just to make sure that everything's okay. Make sure that you're safe, checking out on the things that they had. And they're like, yeah, all right, sounds good. And we walk through and condemn that house too. And again, like all these people are just squatting there and being able to use our different resources, because everyone thinks it's a law enforcement problem. Like something's wrong, call law enforcement. And we are not equipped to handle probably 80% of the things that we're called for. And working with our partners that we have, especially like the easiest thing in city government, working with them and handling some of these problems. And, unfortunately, it kind of just pushes it to a different area. But at the very least, we can help out that neighborhood resolving those problems in a faster, easier way.
You think it would be easy for a government to work together, but I think that was the hardest when me and you were the B cops trying to get other agencies from the city involved into solving neighborhood issues like street lighting correlation to crime. How are we going to get the street lighting, better? How are we going to beautify this neighborhood up? It takes a team effort, and that was the hardest part, is getting people to have stakeholders into what you're talking about. Because they're not the ones usually talking to the 80-year-old, 90-year-old grandma that lives in the street next to the drug house. It's usually us, and then us portraying to Department of Public Works, or maybe like planning and zoning. These are the things we have ideas for to beautify. And I think that was the hardest part, is get people invested into your vision on how to solve the problems. I don't know.
Yeah. And it comes down to some direction from the department too, because having worked for two, medium-sized cities, Sheboygan definitely fostered that relationship. The other one, there's kind of more concrete avenues of communication. So just providing that opportunity for open and free communication and collaboration is definitely key for some of those things. So
Kevin was a little bit straightforward. Like, hey, this is the problem, I'm gonna tackle it. If I'm straightforward, I want to tackle it, I'm told no, I'll get crafty and find another way around not being told no. And maybe I'll bring up some of those stories down the road. I was told I was unmanageable at one point. I was manageable. It's just that if I knew the neighbors really had a real concern, I'm willing to solve it no matter what. And when you're told no, then I just find another avenue to solve it. Yeah. What's one of the worst? I probably know the answers, but what's one of the worst calls in law enforcement you've
had? The worst call in law enforcement that I've ever had is a fatal accident involving a 4-year-old that got pinned between a car and a wooden fence post. By far the most impactful call that I've ever gone on. Those who are in law enforcement, those who aren't in law enforcement, I mean, when you see things like that, you never forget it.
It was afterwards too, like the person was gloating about it and stealing things from the memorial site. And
yeah, so that frustrated me, but honestly, don't even remember his name. Don't care. Like, why give him recognition for the things that he's done? It's really, I mean, it's everything lined up so perfectly for that tragedy to occur, that, it's, again, it's just a pure tragedy. And the fact that not only do I have to live with it, but, more importantly, like, that kid's family has to live with it.
Right. They're there at that time too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the random things that had to occur, they're walking to the park. They stopped on the corner because somebody was out with a dog and they were petting the dog. And, somebody goes through a stop sign, doesn't stop, and they hit just so perfectly that the car veers off perfectly into the corner of the intersection. I mean, just like I said, everything lined up so perfectly for that tragedy. Like, I mean, one little variable changes and, it's completely different set of circumstances. But, yeah, that, and the other thing that really, like, kind of sits there is from that call, like a level of frustration, is communication. So I was actually training somebody. It was immediately before I was promoted. And I think it was like the weird in between time. Like technically I was a sergeant, but I was still a neighborhood beat officer. And then I was also training somebody. And the guy I was training was a lateral transfer, like years of experience. And we were the first on scene. So I got there, I had a job. I was doing that job. Once I kind of didn't have that job, everything kind of washed over me. So I kind of lost it emotionally. And so I was brought back to my patrol car, sat there and just lived in the feelings that I was having. When I finally kind of put myself back together, I was ready to get to work. And I was part of our accident reconstruction team. So I knew like things that needed to start happening. So I grabbed my trainee and I'm like, hey, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go and start taking photos of like the car path for the one vehicle. You know, you take a picture, walk 10 feet, take another picture. So that way you have like the viewpoint of where the driver would be. And so I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. I'm like, we got to walk down there. He's like, no, we're going to get in the car. I'm like, what do you mean? Like it's 2 blocks. Like we can walk that. He's like, no, we're going to get in the car. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we have a job that we need to do. Somebody needs to do this. Like, we're doing it. He's like, no, you need to get in the car. And at this point, I'm like, listen, you're my trainee. Like, you're supposed to be responding to what I'm telling you to do. And then he's like, I was told to take you to the police department. I'm literally like, you could have just started with that. Like, okay, I got it. Like, I'm being told to go back to the police department. Sure, we'll go back to the police department and we'll do that. I'm like, but now you led me through this. Like, you're just sitting there being like insubordinate, and you just cut to the chase. Like, hey, so I was told to take you back to the police department. Sounds good. Let's go. Like, it was as simple as that. And 2 other things that was really important from that call. One is I was sitting back in my office, working through some stuff or just kind of processing and just hanging out until further information came to me, or like direction of what I needed to do or whatever else. And the sergeant, the actual sergeant, came in and told me to just go home. And I was like, I don't really want to go home. There's stuff to do, whatever else. And they're like, no, trust me. And so this photo will forever live in my phone. But it was, I don't know, probably close to 7:00 when I was sent home. At the time, I only had one daughter. She would have been probably coming up on 2 years old. I can't remember. But she was already in her pajamas, had already gotten like a bath. My wife was at home, and she was kind of aware of what was going on. But I got home and I'm like, let's go to the park. And my wife said, like, had nothing of like, she's already bathed in her pajamas. She also buys like the really nice bamboo pajamas.
Oh, I'm well aware.
Oh yeah. So like, you don't necessarily just go wear those out to the, the park. And she said absolutely nothing. She said, or like no dissent, and said, yep, let's go. And so we threw in the stroller and we walked to the park, which weirdly enough is where that family was heading. And we just chilled at the park and had a great time. And the only time that my kid will ever be at the park, probably in pajamas. But it was really healing and kind of grounded me and made me realize like what I have. And that was, that was important. And that's probably the thing that lasts with me the longest is, the recognition of the things that I have and being grateful for the time that I have as well. So
I think during that time, I don't know where I was. I was somewhere, either maybe a craft show or so. I was on maybe a vacation, something. I can't remember where I was, but I knew.
Well, it was April. You might have been at FDIC.
I could have been, but I heard about it. And I knew my best friend was having a difficult time, and I felt hopeless. I remember calling you and be like, "How you doing?" You're like, and I just knew you weren't doing okay at the time, because I think again every cop knows calls with kids are the worst calls. But I felt hopeless in that time. I don't know where I was, but I was like, I can't really do anything, or I probably would have tried to do something with you. But that's the only thing in that I remember that call being like, I don't know how to support you when I'm here and you're over there. Because I think that time we were hanging out basically almost every day, it seemed like, or every other day. So,
yeah. And from that experience, and then also, so I probably haven't mentioned it yet, but my newest position is I'm a lieutenant with Fond du Lac Police Department. So
moving on up.
Well, I mean, they're basically sergeants because they're still first line supervisors. But Ryan Williams is a lieutenant there and also a friend of yours. And I was
if Ryan's seen this, I'm hoping he's my friend.
He is. We talk about you occasionally. It's mostly good things. But he would be another great person to have on the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
But he goes through a spiel or talks about his experience. It's not really a spiel. That they had numerous years before I got hired there, they had an incident in which an officer was shot and killed during a domestic incident, and Ryan was also shot several times as part of the response to that. And he talks about like kind of the way that he processes it. And that's resonated with me from my own experience as well as like him talking about it. And that's important for anyone who is A, experiencing trauma, or B, is, close to somebody experiencing trauma. It doesn't even need to be close, just is aware that everyone processes things differently. And Ryan talks about how he talks about it, and that's his way of dealing with it. He talks about it on the radio. He's done a bunch of different things.
I've seen it. He tore his shirt off in the middle of a pizza parlor over in DC. He's probably gonna hate me for saying this, but I've heard this before. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes through every new officer in Fond du Lac who gets hired. He goes through and talks about it. They have like an entire presentation about that day. And it's kind of, it should serve as an eye opener to new officers because some people get into it not having a full understanding of kind of what they're getting into. And, that should be one of the first things that you're aware of. Like, hey,
right.
You're going to see some things, you're going to be involved in some stuff. And it's not a thing to wash people out. It's to their benefit to make sure that they are, from the very beginning, kind of mentally prepared. Because if they don't think that they're going to be able to do that mentally, like they should probably find a different career. And it's not a negative. Well,
we've had new officers quit because they go to a home alarm and it's completely dark and they freak out because the inside of the building,
Yeah.
It's not meant for everyone. We had new officers who quit right away. We get guys who, like me, 20 years later. But that's the reason for this podcast, I think, is the important part of your experiences or my experiences and new people, because they don't train at the academy. I don't think once during my associate's degree do they say, besides sharing calls, these are support assets for you, because back in the day it didn't exist,
Yeah. And going beyond just hey, this is like the worst call, but these are the things that helped me. Right. And having those kind of open conversations instead of having the feeling of like, nope, this is my burden to bear. And I'm much like Ryan. I'll talk with people. I went home and talked with my wife, like gave her little details. Honestly, I feel a little bad for my wife sometimes because I do a little bit of trauma dumping, explaining things. And, sometimes I have to check and be like, hey, like, I want to share with you, like, this is kind of the bullet points. Like, are you comfortable with that? So that way, like, I'm not traumatizing her by my experiences, because she's not law enforcement. Like, she didn't sign up necessarily. She didn't sign up to see those things, to be involved in those. She signed up to be my wife and to be my support and stuff like that. But sometimes people can push that too far, and making sure that we're checking in with our loved ones and trying to figure that stuff out too. And
sometimes they don't understand. Like, they don't understand, like me. How do I support my friend during that time? I don't know. Sometimes
there's just nothing to do other than be like, hey, how you doing?
I love you.
Well, you do say that quite frequently. My favorite response to that, by the way, is I have strong feelings for you too. It's not always love.
And everyone copes differently. I always came home and it was like, I'm fine. And really, I like calls didn't bother me. I mean, there's so many calls out there that didn't bother me. Kids calls are a little concerning, but I've talked to many years of Kevin of this, but supervision and their decisions they made bothered me the most. And we'll kind of get into that different episode of why and working through some of that. So Kevin's right. People cope with trauma differently. There's different trauma looks differently for different people. Some veterans, I can only imagine Matt Brush, if he watches this, you get done with his career and he's like, okay, cool. And that's it. People just have different ways of coping with it in different support systems.
So if Matt Brush is actually going to be on this, I know for sure that there's one call that shook him. And I'll leave it up to you if you want me to tell the story. If you want,
we'll save it for maybe.
I mean, I could tell you. I could tell you from my perspective. Talking to Matt Brush.
And there's not a lot of calls that shake that guy. I mean, we've had a conversation once before that there's certain people, and you have to watch it. There's other things for like new cops, like officers you have to watch out for. The ones that will come in and they'll ruin the whole entire thing. Like just their presence alone and the way they talk to people, you're like, oh, great, here it goes. And there's some people that the opposite. It's like, are you going to do something about it? And that bothered me at the end, like the generational police work now and not controlling some things. In 20 years, I can ultimately say I've really never fought with anyone, which was great because I always had a way with my mouth. You probably know that. But I never fought with anyone. But towards the end of my career, I was getting closer and closer of fighting with people just because people didn't want to handle the scenes. So you get people who overly handle it and people who underly handle it. It was difficult that balance, old time cop versus new time cop, or maybe it was the old time cop, just grumpy old type turning into the grumpy old time cop. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been a cop for as long as you were. But I'd say there is kind of a generational difference. So, you have the old school cops who, we all hear stories about like when being a cop was being a cop, like the good old days.
Kick down doors.
Yeah. So,
people,
you got respect through, through force, like kind of the old stories. And the newer way is communication. There's this huge push for de-escalation and all this other stuff. But the de-escalation is taught, but some of the simple just being able to talk to people isn't there.
That's learned, I think, over the years, though. That's what
I mean, it's a skill, but you also have to have like the want.
You got to be personal
to be able to do it. So I recently saw something on Facebook, and some of the larger, like cop influencer type people have shared it and kind of their thoughts. And it was like, how do we fix law enforcement? And, they had this like 8 things of basically like criteria for recruitment. That, I think the first one said like you had to be 30, and like a bunch of different things. But the one that really stuck out to me was like 2 years of sales experience, or customer service.
Makes sense.
100%. And so my background before law enforcement was I worked for 10 years at a restaurant, gas station in Fond du Lac, Pump and Pantry, best chicken in Fond du Lac.
Didn't know that about you. That's
previously. When I left, I was a self-proclaimed manager, not really a title, but I gave it to myself type thing. But, I worked there for 10 years as a cook, as a cashier, not really a server, but it's one of those places where they had like the hot case and you went up and you said, hey, I want a 3-piece chicken. And okay, what sides do you want with that? And, scooping it in and meeting them at the cash register. So, but I did a bunch of different things through that. We did like special event type stuff where we basically like a concession stand and dealing with complaints and dealing with coworkers and all of that. Like you learn how to talk to people, because it's sales, it's customer service. You learn the importance of doing that. And through all of my interviews, I have said that law enforcement is customer service. It's one of the ultimate levels of customer service, because what are you doing? You're responding to calls, you're providing a service. That's what it is. Somebody calls, somebody needs something, or the community in general needs something, and you're there to provide that service. And looking at the stakeholders as customers and what can you do to make things better? and what can you do to, fulfill their order, of what they need, and dealing with people on the root basis as being humans. People, we've all seen cops videos. We've worked with cops who, they have somebody in the back of their squad and they throw, another verbal punch at them and like have some snotty comment. And people find ways to push buttons. We've all done the same thing, but in the end, like the simple things, like somebody's in the back seat. One of the first things I say is, "Hey, how's the temperature back there? It's too hot, too cold. What do you need?" It doesn't matter how bad they're being or whatever else. Like if they're just yelling at you, you're not going to talk to them anyways. But then I just don't talk to them. But treating everyone like a human from the beginning will set you further ahead than probably anything else that you can do. I'm similar to you. I fought with people, but that was typically from the onset. One person that I remember was a retail theft, and she just kept on walking with her 30 pack of Busch Light or Natty Ice or whatever it was, and just kept on walking. So you grab onto her, and then it's immediately on. She's fighting, so there really isn't an opportunity for dialogue and treating things like that. But everything else that I've dealt with, and I've been this body style my entire life, so it's not like they're like, oh man, like if I fight with this guy, like I'm gonna lose, and like it's not gonna be good, so it's just not worth it. Or always had 4 officers with me or anything like that. So I don't think it's any of that. I think it's sincerely the way that we talk to people, the way that we treat people, and those things are lasting too. Like I said, my memory just works in weird ways. One of the things I don't do is names. I can't remember them for the life of me.
But you can remember faces.
To a certain extent, but people come up all the time, and in Sheboygan, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Officer Post," and like, "Oh yeah, like
Not Post, Post.
Post, yes, P with a post, or Post with a P. There we go." And like they'll remember that because we see hundreds, thousands of people over our career, and for us to remember everyone, some people can do it, but we work for, at least in the agencies I've worked for, a maximum of 60 officers, and that's all they need to remember. And if they had contact with 20 of those officers, that's all they need to remember. But for them to recognize you by name and then be decent with you because of that, whereas, they're like asking for you over somebody else, or saying like, "Hey, I'll talk to you, but I'm not going to talk to that other guy. Like that guy's a dick." It pays dividends. And the fact that some officers don't take the time to do that, or have the patience or the mental fortitude to do that, just sets them up for the negative for the rest of their career.